Part 9. What are the Dead Sea Scrolls made of? This is a short one. And then I'll do that, and then we'll do this other page here. It's a quick look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. Just a single page. What are the Dead Sea Scrolls made of? A few different materials make up the cachet of the scrolls. Representing the availability of materials at the time of their birth, each medium has unique qualities which help the scrolls survive time and the elements for thousands of years. I could have used a zip drive. Didn't have that yet. For biblical scholars, the Dead Sea Scrolls represent the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. Parts of this remarkable library of nearly 900 texts containing hundreds of thousands of words were created as long as 2,200 years ago. At that time, however, paper had yet to be introduced to the Middle East from China, where it was invented during the Han Dynasty, 206 BCE to 220 CE. On what material, then, did the ancient scribes of the Dead Sea Scrolls, wherever they might be, record their commentaries, prophecies, and biblical and sectarian texts? Most of the manuscripts are made of parchment, a material made from processed animal skins. DNA analysis reveals that most of the scrolls were written on the processed skins of sheep or goats. Some skins were apparently prepared in accordance with ancient Judaism's strict requirements that ensured the purity and cleanliness of animal hides. Such hides were considered pure only if the animals were ritually slaughtered or sacrificed in the Jewish temple in Jerusalem or the temple city itself. Animal skins made from gazelle or deer may also have been used, although they were probably not ritually pure. Several of the largest manuscripts are made of parchments from a few different animals. The Temple Scroll, for example, which includes critical passages from the Pentateuch, that'd be a B Pentateuch, anyhow. The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, measures 26.7 feet and is written on 19 separate sheets of parchment. Several of the scroll's sheets are known to come from the same animal, while other sheets in the scroll come from different animals. The Temple Scroll parchment is one of the thinnest of all the scrolls, measuring not more than 1/10 of a millimeter thick. In 2010, researchers examining the scroll concluded that the parchment was prepared with the very salty water of the Dead Sea, less than 2 miles from Qumran. The remaining Dead Sea Scrolls are written primarily on papyrus, a paper-like writing material made from the pith of the papyrus plant. One work, appropriately named the Copper Scroll, is written on copper sheets mixed with a small amount of tin. In addition, inscriptions on shards of pottery called ostraka have been found. How the scrolls survived. Let's see here. All things considered, the Dead Sea Scrolls survived rather well, despite enduring many centuries of exposure to the elements in early human handling. The more carefully harbored manuscripts were found wrapped in linen cloth in tall, wide-necked clay jars. However, many scrolls were found concealed in nooks and crannies in cave walls, while others lay covered in eons of sand and dust on cavern floors. Exposed to the ravages of time and nature, how did the scrolls survive? Dr. Nathan Jastram, head of the theology department at Concordia University in Wisconsin, attributes the scroll's survival to several factors. Jastram, one of the few scholars in the world to work directly with the scroll's notes, in quotes, the Dead Sea area is one of the few places in the world with characteristics that allow ancient scrolls to survive for long periods of time. It is hot and dry. Its desolate location makes it more possible for early artifacts to survive without being destroyed by later settlements. What a coincidence. However, the natural process of decay did cause deterioration. In other words, natural meaning not being decayed because of the environment and the elements, but just the natural decay of something just sitting there getting old over time, rotting, drying, and all that. Kind of like me. I got a natural decay thing going on here. Let's see here. Okay. However, the natural process of decay did cause deterioration. Let me see. Did I skip that? Okay. However, the natural process of decay did cause deterioration, a process hastened by worms, bats, and other animals, according to Jasram. However, after the scrolls were sealed from the atmosphere by bat guano or the crumbling rock that fell from the ceiling, deterioration almost ceased. Regrettably, the process of decay began anew when the surviving scroll fragments were discovered and exposed to the air. The scrolls are in worse shape today than when they were discovered. That's just from us handling them, especially back then. They didn't know what they were doing. Jastram says, many scientists and scholars are devoted to making sure they do not continue to degrade. There's a little picture here. This is iron gall ink. Let's see what this little thing here. Analysis of the Dead Sea Scrolls has shown they were written, at least in part, with iron gall ink. Iron gall ink was created from tannin found in certain tree galls, vitriol, gum arabic, and water. The ink these ingredients produced had a deep blue-black velvety tone. Unlike carbon-based inks made from burning oil or tar to produce soot, which is then mixed with water, iron gall ink did not smear or rub off documents. If penetrated into the parchment by chemically reacting with collagen in the parchment. Almost like a tattoo. Red ink appears in several of the Dead Sea Scroll manuscripts. Red ink of the time was made with cinnabar, a mercury sulfide mineral that came from China or Spain. Some scholars believe the cinnabar made its way to the Middle East through Rome via Spain. Okay. This should be a quick look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, facts and statistics. The Hall. Approximately 15,000 scroll fragments were found in 11 caves. Together they make up between 800 and 900 scrolls found over 9 years. The works. The scrolls encompass all the books of the Hebrew Bible except for Esther. They also include non-canonical works such as Jubilees and Enoch. Language. The scrolls are written mostly in Hebrew. However, some are in Aramaic and Greek. The scrolls also display the use of cryptography and an attempt at codifying by mixing the three languages. Materials. The scrolls are written on parchment, sheep or goat skins, and papyrus, paper made from plants, except for the copper scroll, which is written on metal in carbon-based ink. The writing is right to left with no punctuation. That's kind of interesting because we added the punctuation to the Bible. But no, see, you're in from right to left, which is opposite of what we do, but with no punctuation. That can change things. X marks the spot. The copper scroll is actually a treasure map recording more than 15 places throughout Israel where riches in the form of gold and silver are hidden. To this day, no treasure has been found. Ownership. Most of the scrolls are currently owned by the Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, though some are owned by the Jordan Archaeological Museum, some by the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, and some are in the hands of private owners. Digitizing the scrolls. In 2011, the Israel National Museum and Google partnered to make the scrolls available online. 5 of the most significant scrolls have been posted. The project is expected to be completed in 2016. Among the scrolls are 19 copies of the book of Isaiah, 25 of Deuteronomy, and 30 of Psalms. The scroll containing Isaiah, the earliest Old Testament manuscript in existence, dates to the 1st century BCE. Sacred Laws. The Ten Commandments scroll found in Cave 4 is the most complete and best preserved in the world. Another coincidence. New prophecies. There are scrolls containing prophecies of Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Daniel not found in the Old Testament. That's interesting. Final words. The scrolls containing the last words of Joseph, Judah, Levi, Naphtali, and Amram, the father of Moses. Original tells. There are previously unknown stories of the biblical figures Enoch, Abraham, and Noah, including an explanation of why God asked Abraham to sacrifice his only son Isaac. Might need to look into that. Connections. Although the Qumran community and Jesus of Nazareth existed at the same time and in the same area, none of the scrolls mentioned him or any of his followers, including John the Baptist, who was based not far from Qumran. That's all that. A lot of people want to say that Jesus was an Essene. And I'll tell you what, even if he was, which then they try to give you the teachings of the Essene and let that kind of pollute the teachings of Jesus. He could have been, I don't want to be too funny here, but whether he was of the Essene or not, we still have the basis of the teachings of Jesus, which is in our New Testament. He could have been had a knitting club. Doesn't matter. Doesn't change what the teachings of Jesus are. But what you'll find is some people say, well, hey, we believe he was Essene and from the Essene culture. And then they go and try to get you to follow some of what the Essenes were doing. They say that they did this, community living, blah, 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 celibates and all this kind of thing. Look at all, and then you're off on some, you're off the track. Teachings of Jesus. Stick with it. Stick with that. Doesn't matter who they think he was of. That's just my 2 cents. Okay. We'll come back. We'll get into modern tech. Modern tech meets ancient secrets. Radiocarbon dating. Computer imaging allows scientists and scholars to date the Dead Sea Scrolls within margins of 300 years. Anyhow, love you, God bless.